Hi, my name is Shayna Bayo, and I will be talking about my project. My project is a daycare database. First, I'm going to talk about how my project utilized each learning objective. So, for learning objective 1, I showed how I was employing design principles of object-oriented programming. I first planned it out by first getting the raw data. I started with the data instead, and I realized that I wanted to find daycares throughout San Diego and be able to search them by their name and their maybe their address and what type of daycare they are, or like what the type of citations they have. And citations are basically when a daycare gets in trouble and gets cited for certain infractions. So with this data, I got like thousands and thousands of daycares. I ended up condensing it. I condensed it to just daycares in San Diego and only daycare centers, not at-home daycares. And I also took out a lot of the fields, the columns, and only just had the type, the name, the address, and only those. Um, and this helped me figure out what fields I wanted for my code. I realized obviously I needed a daycare class, and then for the fields in that daycare class, I used basically the same fields that are here in this data, which is type, name, status, citations, address, city, state, zip code, county. So then I had to write a UML diagram to help me organize my thoughts. And here's a kind of quick UML diagram, nothing fancy. Here you can see that I have a daycare class, which has the fields, and then some methods for finding out the name, the address, the blah, 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 blah. And then from there, I realized that I could create an address class that is a part of the daycare class. So this was learning objective 3, because this shows object aggregation, because every daycare has an address. This is useful for maintaining code reusability. Instead of having to rewrite the entire address block over and over again, I can just add the address object field instead, and it would help if I ever wanted to expand and wanted to include like maybe all the at-home daycares and add like more to the database. I could just treat their addresses as a field and just basically add the address to the at-home daycare class. So I skipped learning objective 2 because I didn't do any arrays, just array lists, because this just made more sense for my particular project. Array lists are more flexible and you don't have to worry about the size. So I'm going to go to my code, which is right here. This is my code. I have a daycare database main code, and then I have the daycares class and the address class. I'll show my daycares class implemented the comparable interface. This shows, I think, learning objective 4. This shows inheritance and polymorphism because the daycare is implementing a comparable interface. I was able to override the comparables compare to method right here, and this helped me figure out how to compare the daycare object's counties. And in that way, I was able to sort the daycares by county instead of just by the way it's originally in the code. It's originally sorted by name alphabetically. So I'm going to run this code and show you how it works. When you run it, you're going to get a main menu that says, "Welcome to the daycare search portal." It's going to ask you a bunch of questions, and the user has to choose which one they want based off of the numbers, the options. There's a lot of user input, and because of all this user input, you're going to need a lot of exception handling, which is, I think, learning objective 5. There's going to be a lot of exception handling, which I did here. I used try-catch methods. It says input mismatch exception, illegal state exception, because I had to use scanners every time I wanted to get input. So, like, let's show how this works. It says search daycares. I put 1. It says how would you like to search for daycares by? I'm going to say I want to search by name. And then it says enter a daycare name. I'm going to say Star. I don't know why I said Star. But, there's a lot of daycares with the name Star in it. 107. Yeah, and so there's that. And if I did this again, and said I want to search for daycares, and then name, and then I just put numbers instead of having an exception, input mismatch exception, I instead handle it and made it so that it would say no daycares are found, and it would just return me back to the menu and give me a second chance. So that was a way of me handling that exception. I also would like to show you how I dealt with utilizing text files. I created a method called readFile right here. And in this readFile method, I basically opened up the CSV file, the text file, San Diego Daycares, and I used a scanner, and I was able to, and with that you can scan each line in a loop, a while loop, and then from that I could add each line to a daycares object, and then I had to make sure to remember to close that scanner. And that is me utilizing text files. And I think that is pretty much it for me implementing all of the learning objectives. If you want to see how I sorted things, if I click 3, it sorts the data by county. And then, let me see. And then for viewing my favorite list, I wasn't able to really do it the proper way, but I just kind of did a top 3 daycares. And then you could just pick your top 3. You just put numbers. You have to know what the numbers of the daycares are first. But then there, it just shows you your top 3 daycares. And this is my code, my project. Thank you and have a good day.